falling. Never stop anything. No fixed point. Then we have investigation. Whenever something else happens, our mind also goes there to see, to investigate, is that true or not? Is there rising and falling happening? Then we see this the same. Then energy arises for us to be more energetic and continue our practice. We spoke in length about energy. And then joy arises because we see the results. Every step we make progress. When we see progress, joy arises. This joy is very calming, soothing joy, not just titillation, not carnal joy. This is spiritual joy. The difference between spiritual joy and carnal joy is, in carnal joy we try to hold on to something, cling to something, attach to something. In spiritual joy, we see calming, soothing, tranquilling state of mind. Very, very peaceful. Then peaceful state of fact of enlightenment arises. That is passaddhi. I mentioned there are two kinds of passaddhi, kaya passaddhi and chitta passaddhi. Physical tranquility and mental tranquility. All these line up for the next step, that is gaining concentration. When we have concentration, that also at the beginning, it is not very deep concentration. It is just being away from hustle bustle activities, human movements and so forth. We feel settled, not deep concentration. Only when we pass that state, real concentration arises, because we build up confidence. Seeing all these steps, all positive steps, build up our confidence. And then from that confidence, mind settles down even further and then gain concentration with joy and happiness. Now, the third level, you can see this happening to yourself if you do not verbalize, conceptualize, just stay noticing mentally what is happening to you. Just notice. Don't get excited, agitated, don't fall asleep and so forth. And then when you go to the third level, even your attachment to joy, even though it is spiritual joy, joy of letting go, When you hold on to something, you are rigid, uptight, tense. When you let go, you feel relief, freedom, peace and happiness. So, even is sometimes spiritual joy as arises in the second jhanic level, you will see it is so peaceful, and yet we may have some attachment. So letting go of that attachment to that joy, rapture. And then you are in the third jhanic level. Then the mind settles more deeply, more strongly, and you have equanimity. This is the time you begin to feel real equanimity. And also mindful. Both you can see more distinctly, clearly in the third jhana. You began with mindfulness, and then in addition to mindfulness, Now new factor you experience, that is equanimity. Your mind is in the state of balance, equanimity. And then you experience your own person, your own practice, deeper bliss. There is no word to explain what is called bliss. You simply have to experience it. So you get it. Your mind is completely charged with this bliss, and therefore that is the person, that is the state, that noble disciple, noble ones. Who are the noble ones? Those who practice noble eightfold path. They are the noble ones. And they say, because they talk from their experience, those who practice noble eightfold path are called noble because they talk from their own personal experience. And they say person in the third jhanic level is living happily and with mindfulness and concentration. Now, with this, I want to make some general remarks. Some people gain concentration very quickly. It is not falling asleep. The person is wide awake, alert, and all these steps the person notices happening in that person. And some people have to work hard. And those who gain concentration naturally in this fact of enlightenment, if it is worthy of name, fact of enlightenment, that must be wholesome concentration, as opposed to unwholesome concentration. Unwholesome concentration, also concentration. When we say concentration, we should not assume concentration is always wholesome, because there is unwholesome concentration. For instance, when somebody wants to do something very unwholesome, very evil, and that person has to focus the mind on that particular thing so that he will not get into trouble with the police and people and other neighbors and so forth. So he has to be very, very sort of outsmart the police, outsmart the law. So he has to concentrate. But in the mind, the motive is evil motive. Right concentration is called wholesome concentration. It does not have an iota of evil motive. Everything is pure and clean, and that is called wholesome concentration. For the wholesome concentration, I mentioned in the Noble Eightfold Path, the first 7 factors in the Noble Eightfold Path. The first 7 factors have to be cultivated, developed, practiced in order to gain the right concentration. So, that is a wholesome concentration. So, one who lives according to Noble Eightfold Path gains right concentration very, very easily. And therefore, concentration is the crown of meditation. Not the only one. Mindfulness must be present in the right concentration, as I mentioned. One of the 7 preceding factors is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the stepping stone to the right concentration. So when he has that kind of concentration, that concentration is called samadhi indriya. Samadhi indriya. Indriya is used for eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. All these are all faculties. Indriya. Indra in Pali and Sanskrit is called in the Pali and Sanskrit mythology, and the divine being, king of all gods, is called Indra. Indra. Similarly, in meditation practice, the samadhi concentration is the chief, because it penetrates our ignorance and show us the truth and reality as it is. And therefore it is also, as we keep practicing it again and again, this becomes the strength, the bala, samadhi bala. So we have samadhi indriya and samadhi bala. Bala means strength. So these two things, what are the two things? Concentration and mindfulness occur in him, yoked evenly together. And that we can see in Buddha has clearly mentioned, concentration, mindfulness yoked together, joined together. That is called yoga. Yoga. In Pali, the word yoga is uniting, getting together, tying together. So Buddha said, yoga ve jayati bhuri. Yoga ve jayati bhuri, and so forth. In order to save time, I avoid using Pali. Wisdom springs from meditation. Without meditation, wisdom wanes, wisdom declines. And having known these two paths of progress and decline, let one so conduct oneself that one's wisdom may increase. Wisdom increases. How wisdom increases? By combining mindfulness and concentration. And this combination is called yoga in Pali. You know yoga in other traditions also. Very famous exercise, physical, mental and so forth. Some people are specialized on that. However, the tranquility factor leads to concentration. When you gain concentration, your mindfulness join together, and the combination brings you wisdom to understand things. And there's a concentration which is called the jhana, as I mentioned, the third level. Jhana has only 4 steps. They are called 1, 2, 3, 4. So today I mentioned the third one. Now, when you practice gaining concentration, always you must make sure that you are following right concentration, wholesome concentration. For wholesome concentration, you know that 5 hindrances completely must be nipped in the bud at the very beginning. You have to let go of 5 hindrances, which you all know, and then you have to make a skillful effort. Skillful effort is not physical effort, but mental determination. I mentioned skillful effort has 4 levels. One is to prevent these 5 hindrances and other unwholesome states from arising. That is called restraining. Second effort is overcoming, in spite of your very sincere intention. This unwholesome state can arise as a habit, so we have to get rid of it. That is the second kind of effort. There you don't need any physical effort. Mentally you have to overcome that unwholesome mental state if it arose. Then when it disappears, then you have to arouse, taking the advantage of that moment, arouse wholesome mental states, wholesome things, not having any unwholesome factors in the mind. And then once it is initiated, planted, put the seed down, then we have to repeat it again and again to make it grow, make it strong, and make your practice perfect. So that therefore you have to have right effort, skillful effort. Then focus your mind only on your chosen object. What is the chosen object? Our breath. Don't let the mind move here and there. When you focus your mind on the breath, then your mind, you should determine to keep your mind in the present moment. We have no way to know the breath until we pay attention to the present moment. Last moment breath is gone, future moment breath has not come yet. What exists is the present moment. We must learn to pay attention to the present moment. Then you don't have to think of anything else. Focus the mind on the present moment. Then be ardent and alert. Don't be slouch. Don't twist here and there. Don't think of anything else. Your mind totally focus on the present moment. Buddha mentioned in everywhere where he mentioned meditation, parimukhaṃ satiṃ upaṭṭapetva. Parimukha sati, some people say, is in front. That is true. In front doesn't mean the spatial in front, not spatial front. This is temporary, temporal front. That is present moment. Front is present moment. So focus mind on the present moment and pay attention to it exclusively. And you have to be alert, you have to be very careful not to invite any of the hindrances. One hindrance is very common hindrance is attachment. When your mind is focusing on the breath, everything is calm, quiet, peaceful, you experience joy and so forth. It is possible at that time for someone to attach to it. And therefore, we have to be very careful not to let that happen. In order to make your concentration indriya, concentration bala, The power of concentration, it is just like, the water running in a river. You harness it and let go through a very tiny little hole. That is a very powerful amount of water goes through the tiny hole to turn the turbine to generate electricity. Similarly, our mind, when concentrated, make it one-pointed, that becomes an indriya, chief, and then that becomes a bala, the strength, just like that water going through a little hole to turn the turbine. So, make sure that your concentration is powerful enough to make it that strong. Then, what you can do after that, keep repeating it again and again until something very noticeable happen, you lose it. Then you remember the steps you followed, and then you repeat those steps without getting upset, without getting disappointed. Just quietly repeat it. If it is too hard, then you have to get up and come back and start it again. Then later on, when you get up, when you lose it, you have to think where I went wrong, why I lost it. So you have to focus on it. So each time you investigate, self-examine, you just assess your achievement, success, you will find something wrong, and tiny little things, next time correct it and try to attain that state. This is how we gain. Friends, talking about concentration, reading about concentration, discussing about concentration, we don't gain concentration. All this would simply be disturbances. Therefore, we have to do it. Do it very consistently, regularly, repeatedly, then we will see the results by ourselves. With this, friends, I want to end this morning's session. I hope we try. All these words that I uttered doesn't make any sense if you don't put it into practice. So with this, I want to end this morning session, and I also want to encourage you to continue your practice, and thank you very much for participating in this session. And once again, since we started last March, we started this with one motive to give our metta, or called blessing, for all those who are in pain and suffering because of the COVID-19, and thanks to many wonderful people, chemists, pharmaceutical companies got together and came up with vaccines, and now it is being given to people, and they are getting well, and we want to wish them to be peaceful and happy without this kind of unfortunate virus. And those who have lost their loved ones, very often we hear somebody passes away, due to this COVID-19, and the number is reducing, however, and still we want to wish their relatives who lost their loved ones, understand Dhamma, practice meditation, and be relieved from their pain. And also we want to wish those doctors, nurses who dedicated their life, risking their own life with a very compassionate heart, continue their wonderful service. May they all be free from this virus and live long in very good health. And those who are financially supporting all these projects also continue their wonderful, marvelous service and liberate themselves from pain and suffering and attain Nibbana. Thank you. Okay.
See you tomorrow. Oh.
Thank you.